and the COVID-19 pandemic has, understandably increased the level of stress for everyone. And nearly 7 in 10 Singaporeans found that 2021 to be the most stressful year at work, all right, because of mainly the work from home arrangement. And children have felt the impact of COVID-19 also in their lives because it has disrupted their daily routines in terms of schooling and also their social life. So now, apart from all that, the COVID-19, all right, let's say pre-COVID days, what are some of the typical sources of stress do you think children can experience in their lives?
So stress becomes unhealthy to the body when a child is always overwhelmed with the prolonged feeling of helplessness, powerlessness, and hopelessness. They have difficulty seeing that situation can change or improve. And stress becomes dangerous or unhealthy to the body when it takes away the child's sense of control, stability, and safety in functioning and coping. Coming to the different sources of stress that a child can have, one part of it is that the stresses are inevitable at different developmental stage of a child. So we have like 3 developmental stage for a child. Below 7 years old is the preschool stage, and 7 to 12 years old is the schooling stage, and which we call the middle childhood stage. And the last stage will be the adolescent, entering teenager from 13 to 16. So generally, any child in whichever stage that they are in, they will have developmental tasks to perform. And every developmental task to perform is part of their growth, is part of their functioning. So it can be like what we say, if they have good support, then that part of the stress can be managed. So other than the developmental stage, developmental tasks that children have to go through, which is inevitable, it is more the process of going through the developmental tasks that can also be very stressful through expectations, having to manage expectation, having to manage comparison. Because often, even ourselves as adults, we are all different. We have different faces. We have different paces in doing things. So the same for our children. And I find that a lot of greater source of stress is not about doing the developmental tasks or meeting the milestone, but often it comes from a lot of expectations from schools, from families, or even children. They compare themselves with their friends. And there is the internalized kind of comparison that if I cannot do this as good as my friend, then I'm not good enough. Or I need to do that standard, then I can be good enough. So that itself can be a huge source of stress and anxiety for a child's body. And the other part is managing transitions. So now in the family, we know that sometimes couples, their parents have their own fair share of marital struggles. And they may be in the midst of going through separation, divorce, or sometimes they may witness parents' marital conflict in the house. And this can be a huge source of stress for the children as well. Because if there is no processing with them, what is happening to what they see, some children internalize it, that it's their fault, that they are to be blamed for their parents' marital issues. And that can also create another source of anxiety, worry, and fear in the body. And the last one, I think the source of the stress comes through social relationship. Because in that stage, the 3 stages, they have to learn skills of forming friendships, forming their own identity. So in that stage, sometimes they struggle in being themselves. Because in being themselves means they can be very different from other people. And being different from other people, they may be ridiculed or they may be bullied. And that itself is also a huge source of stress.